What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, the Blank Frank, back again with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about vampire kids. The vampire kids. Vampire kids, yeah. So it's like this whole group of vampire kids. Like, it's basically just like the whole group, but some of them are individual, and some of them, like, as a whole, and stuff like that. And we'll get into the other stuff later in the video. So, but yeah. So this group of vampire kids, I think like middle school or high school, right? So one of the people in the group, her name was Rebecca. Now Rebecca, now she was in the group, and she had recently just got into it though. So she had literally the whole group had some type of like gothic hairstyle, and just had some type of face paint all over them or something like that, and her hair is different colors. You know how the goth people look like, stuff like that. So she was in her class, and then at that time, this other kid was up in there who was her neighbor. To say her neighbor, he was about to go up in front of the class and present his poem, because in the classroom it was presenting poems and stuff like that. It was writing poems and presenting them. So it was his turn, and he came out with the silly poem about magic and wizards and stuff like that. Something for the class to laugh at. Then it came Rebecca's turn, and Rebecca, you know, she comes out talking about blood and stuff like that. She's talking about blood and talking about like her enemies and all that weird shit that Gospel's saying and stuff. She's just basically saying how her like heart, not heart, but like her soul is filled with darkness, and her soul is dark and stuff like that. She's just basically saying how, and then she started explaining how her life is miserable and it isn't good at all. But in reality, it's really not. So like her neighbor, who was literally like not like next, not like across the street neighbor, a couple of houses down neighbor, talking about literally right next to our house neighbor, basically kind of grew up with her. The neighbor, her and the neighbor, Rebecca and the neighbor, basically played outside together when they was younger and stuff like that. Even though they still live in the same neighborhood now. No, not, but like, what was happening? Uh, so yeah, Rebecca had some type of like pool. She had a pool in the backyard, which her and her neighbor at the time were, used to play in the pool and stuff like that. And as they were kids and stuff like that, Rebecca was not a gothic kid at all. She was like filled with all happiness and joy, and she was very bright and stuff. And to the point where later, as she grew up in her teen years, she met this. She joined this group, this vampire group, this gothic group, right? And now she was just changed. She was just changed. Now the only problem with that is, since the neighbor grew up with her and knows literally most of her family, she's does not have it down bad. She does not have life down bad. Her life is not horrible or miserable. She just trying to make everyone, try to make it seem like she just wants everyone to feel sad for her. I guess kind of though. She doesn't want everyone to know that she was actually her parents are actually wealthy, actually have money, and actually love her child instead of just neglecting her child to the point where like she'll actually become a gothic child, not become gothic and vampirish and stuff like that, and act like that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, her parents is wealthy. So yeah, that's basically her part. So after that, you know, the neighbor, yeah, he's still in the story as well. The neighbor and his friend at the school were going to the cafeteria, and that's, in the cafeteria there's usually long lines, so they have to wait. And as they get up and closer inside the cafeteria, to the point where they got to get their food and stuff like that, the gothic kids are in front of them, and they mishear them, not mishear them, but they overhear them asking the lunch ladies there to if there were any vegan options, and lunch lady said no, there weren't any vegan options. So they got mad. And they got pressed about it since there were no vegan options, and basically just got mad and asked her why there weren't no vegan options and how they're not looking out for the student body and stuff like that. Why aren't there any vegan options? Now note this: just because they're not vegan options doesn't mean there's not actually vegetables in lunch food. Now lunch food isn't really good, but it's just something to give the kids that don't feel like bringing uh their own lunch from home to school, and getting buying snacks from the vending machine, obviously. But yeah, so they just start arguing with the lunch leads there about there not being any vegetables, and even though they're literally drinking animal blood. Yeah, so the blood they're drinking, blood the vampire group is drinking, they're drinking like animal blood, even though they're vegetarians. So they're complaining about that, even though they drink animal blood. So yeah, moving on from that, a little bit more into the story. So you would think that this group would get bullied most of the time as they're in school and stuff like that, but they really didn't. Well, they did. You just heard people talking about them, but they didn't talk about them to the point where like they would get bullied about it. But so because if one person or a couple of people mess with one person from the vampire group, all of the like basically what I'm trying to say is if you mess with one of them, you literally mess with all of them. Like one time, this kid was basically about to start. She was at first, yeah, he started swinging on, like he started punching, try to fire, not fire, but punch at one of the kids in the vampire group. And as everyone turned around, they realized that that vampire group or that goth group already just came over there, and they just started like basically jumping them. Basically, they just started to start kicking them and punching them and stuff like that. Basically, just beat them up. He basically just got like too many numbers, not too many numbers, but he just got overcrowded and stuff like that. So not that much people really mess with them. They didn't want to mess with them because they already knew it was going to be a problem if they already mess with one of them. And they were the type of kids to just like arrive at school early, and as the kids will walk past them, they would overhear them discussing about drinking blood and stuff like that. Like I said again, but it wasn't just about like animal blood. It would like actually have weird conversations about like whose blood in the school would they drink and which one would be tastier. So that's just another reason why people didn't really like mess with them. And so, you know, and this one time they, told some of the kids in the school that they didn't use Instagram or Twitter and stuff like that, but they used Facebook. So since they didn't use those two main platforms, they just lots of people at the school are wondering, okay, what are they be discussing about? What are they talking about in their Facebook group? So one of the kids who's friends with Rebecca's neighbor, um, ended up creating this fake account on Facebook, and it took them about a couple of months just for them to be for him to be added into the vampires Facebook group. Um, so eventually he got into the group chat, and he found out that the Gothic kids, remember these Gothic kids, parents are wealthy and have money and stuff, and they buy them cars and stuff when they want to, buy them stuff. Basically, they're rich. These are spoiled, rich kids, white kids still. But yeah, so he finds out that they're actually talking about how their parents are bad people and they don't treat them well, or they're not nice to them, and they neglect them and stuff like that. Basically, saying that their parents are the worst and they have it down bad. They don't have a good life. So that kid who sneaks into the group chat ends up screenshotting all of it, all these messages and stuff like that about the parents, and sends it to all the kids in that Gothic group's parents. They sends all of it, all the snaps, screenshots and stuff to the parents. Once the parents hear about it, those Gothic kids are no longer Gothic kids. They just start acting regular and stuff like that. So we're guessing that, you know, so yeah, the parents basically kind of like threatened their own children to stop acting gothish and stuff like that, because they don't have it down bad, and to, if they don't stop acting gothic, then they'll take stop paying their car. All right, thanks for watching the video, and peace.